Okay. So there are two classes of data types in Java. We have primitive data types and I guess composite or object data types, reference types. So the primitive types are integers. So int, byte, short, long, these are all just different ways of representing numbers, whole numbers. Okay, so what does it mean when it says 4 byte? What's a byte? Storage, yeah. What is it though? It's 8 integer values. What are the integers? 0 or 1. A bit is short for binary digit. It means either 0 or 1. Okay, computers only understand binary. They only understand zeros and ones. So a byte is 8 bits. Okay, so that's just the way that, if we want to store more and more data, we use more and more bytes. So an int will hold 32 bits. A byte is 8 bits. Short is 16. Long is 64. 64 is pretty much the biggest. Other data types are float and double. So float is like floating point decimal numbers. We have either a float or a double. Float is 4 byte. Double is 8 byte. And then we have char and boolean. Character or char holds 16 bytes. That means that 16 bytes is a lot for a character. Each byte is 8. So 16-bit, right? Yeah, 16-bit or 2 bytes. This will allow us to store every character in every spoken language. Okay, that's how much we can store in 16-bit. Okay, and then a boolean, unlike other programming languages, 0 and 1 are not true and false or false and true respectively. Okay, it's either true or false. So in Java, it's not 0 isn't false. Okay, but a boolean is stored in 1 bit. So it's either a 0 or a 1 in the computer, but we can't use it as a truthy or falsy, which if anybody can explain that to me, I would love to hear it. What are these wrapper classes? What does that mean? Yes, what does that mean? Right, yeah. So primitive types aren't objects, right? They're just primitive. If we want to call like a method on a number, we need to use the wrapper class. This just allows us to get extra functionality. Okay, so if you've installed anything after Java 8, there's this kind of cool feature called JShell, which will allow you to run Java comments or Java programs on the command line. So if I make an integer, or if I make a variable, I want to make it a variable to hold a number. So Java
8 also it's there?
It's not in Java 8. It's in Java, I think it came out in Java 9. So I want to make a variable just hold a number. So can I just say number equals 42? No, what do I need to do? So I could wrap it, I could make it an integer, or I could just use int. Either one would work. But why is this better? If it is better. Yeah, it takes in a certain amount of numbers. So this int, lowercase I, is a primitive type. It's only, I forget, 32 bits. Whereas if we make an integer object, it takes up much more memory. So we need to start thinking about how much memory our applications use. So using simple int, it's much more memory efficient. So if I want to find out how big all these are, I can say integer dot integer. How do you spell integer? That's what I thought. Integer, right? decided it didn't look right. And if I say max underscore value, right? That is the biggest number that I can store in an integer. Okay. That's pretty big. So if I do long dot max value, that's, yeah, a little bigger. What? Oh, that's just the variable. JShell just assigns it to that variable. Yeah. Hmm? Exactly. All right. There's a way to store it. I can't remember what it is, though. Okay. Oops, yes.